Yeah.
I don't know. I have nothing special. I was just saying hey.
Did you want me to come over there?
No.
Okay.
I was just saying hey.
All right.
To generally everybody, I understand my head was largely inclined towards you.
That's fair.
So I can see how that might be a little confusing.
Okay.
But yeah, just a general.
Yeah.
You know.
Is there anything you want to talk about?
Well, see, we have one of the things that we all came up with, because all of us are very passionate people. You know, and we all have our own fairly specialized interests.
Mm-hmm.
We were going to do a bit we like to call elevator pitch, as in you're stuck in an elevator with somebody while they rant at you about one of their favorite things or something that they know a lot about. Every one of us here could probably do it at the drop of a hat.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to trap you all in an elevator with me.
Ooh.
And I'm going to tell you about a little tabletop game that I'm very excited about, that I've had the pleasure of writing for, called Exalted. This is the 3rd edition of Exalted.
That is
I'm going to drop this on the floor, just to let everybody know it might be loud. Look at that thing.
The damage to
Actually-
the building did just feel a little structural.
Yeah. Do you want to go put that in the bone zone?
I do. And you know what? Let me just grab some of the other books just to show you.
It just FYI, engineering felt that.
also. Hold on a
Oh,
second.
wait, could you?
What's up?
I got it. I got that.
Thank you.
Yep.
What's that? I didn't do it. That wasn't my fault.
Yep.
But yeah, let me go.
I'm sorry. Whoa. I didn't say I read it. I just said I forwarded it. You don't
I
add
know.
a counter for that.
Yeah, they called you out, buddy.
They are devious.
Yeah.
This is they have a high scoring that they're going to be trying to exceed every single day.
So,
You think you're including engineering in a bit, but in fact, they are just trying to trick you
Yeah.
into doing something wrong
here,
that they can later, like...
God, it's so heavy. Here's the 3rd edition of this book.
All right, wait. So there we are.
I'm pushing it. I'm going. We're
All right,
going.
Can we get a side-on view?
Yeah, no, I just wanted everybody to see the very nice cover and the very nice art.
That's very striking art.
It's a very thick book.
It's a
It
bootleg.
hardly opens. Like it's very, like, you can't really even open it without like cracking the binding. It's huge. This is the core book. Could you hold that, please? Thank you. Here is a supplement about one of the types of Exalted. Here is a supplement about another of the types of Exalted, the Lunars. Here's a couple of really cool, like, here's a setting book, one of the places, like, in creation. Here's a book that's about weapons and things, because it's very important for them. Again, here's the core book. It's ginormous. By God.
Yeah, it's pretty big.
So, recently, and again, I had the pleasure of, I'm just going to set these down here just for a moment, because they're heavy. Exalted is an amazing setting, and this seems very intimidating, and like it would have a complicated system, and might be a little bit of difficult to get into. What I like to call the shy friend of tabletop games. You know, you have to play it a couple of times, like an acquired taste. You know, make friends. You know, have one conversation with them once, have a conversation with them again. You know, kind of warm up to it, and eventually kind of like learn the system so you can play the game. You roll roughly 1 coffee can D10 per roll, because the Exalted are very difficult. Now, this may look very intimidating. They recently released a system called Exalted Essence, which is...
Yes!
Hey!
Sorry,
What?
we'll address this later. Keep going.
Did you crash?
No, we got a point.
Oh, we got a point. Hey! All right, fantastic.
Quick save.
So, we, the Exalted Essence just recently finished their Kickstarter. The manuscript is available. You can still get it on Backer Kit. I got to write for the Exalted Essence Companion, which kind of distills the entirety of Exalted down into a more easily approached, easily picked up thing. Exalted is great. It is fantastic. It is. I get so excited when I talk about it. It is set in creation, which is this like sort of proto world in the second age of man. Because when creation was created, the primordials, or whatever they call themselves, these ancient things, kind of like took all of the chaos and were like, you know what? We're gonna make a thing here. Fantastic, except we made creation, but we can't interact with creation because we are so big and mighty and conceptual, and we need to make gods to manage this for us because we just kind of wanted to make it and watch it go. So they made gods, and the gods were like, hey, cool, here's creation. And then the primordials were like, hey, we want to start messing with everything, and like, you know, you made people, and like, you look at what you did. That's fantastic. I'm gonna start messing with stuff. And the gods were like, hey, please, don't do that. It's bad. Like, you want us to run this thing? The gods were like project managers, and this is just a bunch of like d-bag CEOs trying to run creation. So a bunch of the primordials were like, okay, let's mess with everything. And the gods were like, no, don't do that. It's bad. And then this just kind of went on and fermented resentment. And eventually, one of the primordials, Autosynthon, the machine god, or called the machine god, actually a primordial, not an actual like god, just called the machine god, was like, hey, gods, I figured out a way that you can mess up the primordials. Do you want in? It's called exaltation. And the gods were like, yeah, we hate these D-bags. Let's do it. So the way that they got around the gods not being able to fight the primordials was to imbue and instill mortals with their essence. So they exalted a bunch of mortals into different types, the solars, the lunars, so different gods imbued different people with their essence. So the unconquered sun made the solars, who are these big like heroes, just pretty much like just huge anime. They're Super Saiyans. Let's just say it. They're big anime protagonists. And then Luna, the moon goddess, who is the lover of one of the primordials. Only two primordials actually sided with the gods. Gaia and Luna are together, and they're great. And Autosynthon. So how you doing so far? You with me?
Yes, I'm with you, but
Great.
I do want to say thank you so much for that $1,000 donation that came in for us getting a point. Thank you. That was so generous
Thank you
of
so much.
Yes.
continue.
Fantastic. Absolutely. Yes, what?
The bit is that we're stuck in an elevator and you pull up 4 books.
I just
and
carried this
start
around with
telling
me.
this story.
Yeah.
Drop them on the elevator floor.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, I'd
you
be like,
have to
"Bro,
understand.
bro.
You have to understand how heavy these books are, because on the elevator it says max 2,000 pounds, and those books themselves might take us past that, but I think we're going to be fine. Firemen are on their way. Anyway, let me keep telling you about the types of Exalted. So you got the Solars, right? You got the Lunars, who are shapeshifters, okay? If you're a furry, you want to play a Lunar. That's just how it goes, okay? And they're all like, they Quicksilver and things like that. We haven't even gotten into the elemental types and the sacred like metals, but we'll get into that. Don't even worry about it. We're going to get into that, okay? So you got the Lunars. You've got the Dragon-Blooded, the 5 elemental dragons.
Is our dollar donations going down for every word you say?
They might
That's
be. People
so
might be. They
strange.
might be taking their money back, and that's okay. I'm gonna win. I'm gonna win you back when we start talking about the Dragon-Blooded. So you got the Dragon-Blooded, okay? You got the Dragon-Blooded, who are the Exalted of the 5 elemental dragons, and they're different a little bit because their power passes down through bloodlines, and they eventually they're kind of like the foot soldiers of like the generals in the Solar Exalted. Okay, everybody with me so far? Mm-hmm. Cool. Mm-hmm. So you got the generals in the Solar Exalted, and then their mates. Who are the Lunar Exalted, and they kind of got this like yin-yang thing going on. They help each other out, and they fight, and they're ready to like fight all of the primordials. You got a bunch of different other Exalt types, like Autosynthon, when he was like experimenting and figuring it out, he made the Alchemical Exalted. They're rad anime robots, because this is like a really cool like alternate history fantasy setting. It's got like different like anime flavors and Asiatic fantasies and Bretonian fantasy and African like every type of fantasy is in creation. No matter what you want to do, you can definitely play a game in creation. So you got the Solars, you got the Lunars, you got the Dragon-Blooded, right? And then you got the Alchemicals, who are just rad as heck. And there's a bunch of others. Like any god can exalt a thing, but these are like the major groups, right? Right? You
Right,
with me?
yeah,
totally. Yeah, you get me. So what? Yeah.
Are there any a bit crap gods in Exalted?
Kind of. Yeah,
Oh,
we're gonna
fantastic.
get into that because there's more exalted types after the war in creation, where the gods turn against the primordials and kill some. Well, they don't really kill them. You can't really kill a primordial, but some of the primordials get wrapped up in another primordial named Malpheus, who becomes hell. So some of the primordials get locked in another primordial who is a primordial and also hell, and then there's a big green sun in hell there's a whole day-night cycle, but he's also a god and a sun and a blacksmith. It's cool. He's all of those things at the same time. So there's a hell, and they become the Yozi, and all they want to do is get back to creation, but they can't, because when they got beaten, they essentially agreed that they wouldn't, but they were like, hey, they exalted things, we're going to exalt things, but we'll get into that. Don't worry, we're going to get into that. We'll get into your crap gods. But then there were some others that died, but because a primordial can't die, they crashed into the underworld, and essentially, it was not hell. Hell is a different thing. There's the underworld and hell. There's Malpheus and the underworld, capital U, because Exalted loves capital letters. So there's an underworld, but when a primordial dies, but they can't die, they became the Neverborn. So they're just sort of dead but not dead, and sort of circling the drain of creation. They're just circling this concept called oblivion, which is just all of nothingness. But they essentially just get the eternal cosmic swirly forever, and they're also man, we just want to get back into creation, we want to do that, but we can't. But hey, what did they do? They exalted things. We're going to learn how to do that. And we're going to figure out how to do that, but we can't, because we can't. We really can't figure it out. We don't understand the spark of exaltation. So what we're going to do is we're going to steal some. But we'll get into that. We're getting a little ahead of ourselves. But those are the crap gods. So then all the primordials are pretty much gone, except for Autosynthon, who just pieces out. And again, he becomes a whole world and goes outside of creation. He takes a big scoop of people with him, leaves a couple of his alchemical prototypes behind, and then goes and becomes an entirely other world, and essentially an entirely other setting that you can play in. It's just inside his body, so it's like Unicron from the Transformers. We can start talking about the Transformers, but let's not do that. But yeah, it's if you've seen the 1986 Transformers movie, he's essentially like Unicron. Anyway, sorry, started talking about Transformers. We can't do that. So we got Autosynthon, who's out there. He just left behind a bunch of his robot toys, his other Transformers and things like that. So we got all that. So then the Solars are cool, we won, excellent. So when the Primordials got beaten, though, they secretly just put a great curse on every Exalted forever. None of the Exalted know. So it just pretty much brings out their worst aspects. So the Solar Exalted have this thing in them called the Great Curse, and eventually they just get all, they think they're heroes, but then they get all arrogant and awful and tyrannical when they're ruling creation. They think they're great, but eventually get very tyrannical. So there's another type of Exalted called the Sidereal. That's exactly the expression I was going for. Just the slowly widening eyes. So we've got the Sidereal. The Sidereal are masters of fate. They're the ones that they're the Exalted of the 5 sisters, Jupiter, and then 4 others. So they're the ones that kind of control the loom of fate. So they make a big conspiracy to overturn and overthrow the Exalted. The Solar Exalted. So they do that. They end up doing that, and then they start this kind of fake religion called the Immaculate Order, which says that there's an order in heaven, which there's also a heaven. There's a heaven, a hell, and an underworld, and creation, and Autosynthon. You with me so far?
Yeah.
Okay, great. There's big, thick books, and I know most of them. So
Is this a game? My brain is having trouble at this point.
yeah, no, it's a tabletop game. Like the D&D we were playing?
No.
Yeah.
So you specifically have put me in this space that I used to be in all the time, where someone's like, dude, I have the best game idea in the world. You work at a game studio, let me pitch you it.
Yeah.
And then they just pitch you lore.
Oh yeah.
For 25 minutes. And you're like, what is the game though?
I work for a publisher. I got you.
Oh
I'm just
yeah,
kidding.
you've had this. You've had this. Your energy is perfect.
Thank you so much. I used to be this guy.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely not anymore, though, right? Great.
No.
So we got the Sidereals, and they start a fake religion over there. We're getting to the game though, buddy. You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it when I get
bet
there, dude. It's gonna blow your mind when we get to the
I'm
game
so
part.
ready.
I'm just giving you some history and some lore, but then we're gonna get to the game and none of the mechanics because do you see how thick that book is? We don't have time. So we've got all of the sidereal kind of overthrow everybody, and then they kind of restructure heaven, and then the unconquered sun was like, oh, I'm sad now, and because all my solar exalted are gone, so he just kind of like just starts playing board games. I'm not kidding. That is the actual lore. He starts playing what's called the Games of Divinity, which is what the Primordials used to play, and then the gods took it, and he just starts playing that because he gets depressed.
Oh.
That's it. So he doesn't look at creation for a while. So they take all of the solar sparks, the Sidereal Exalted take all the solar sparks, they put them in a big jade prison. They just put it jade's a big thing in this. But again, we'll get into the magical materials in a little bit. But jade's definitely one of them. Spoiler alert. So we've got all of the solar exalted in a big jade prison. Okay, and they lock them away, and then they kind of start what's called the realm, and it's in the dead center of creation. Now, creation has elemental poles. You've got the earth right in the middle, and then you've got to the north, you've got air, and then there's 3 other ones I can't think of right now. Probably air, water, and fire, but I'm probably right. I just forget which directions they are. Chat's going to throw that out there. No, wait, I didn't forget. I'm sorry, it's wood. It's air, earth, wood to the east, fire to the south, and then west is water. I nailed it. I got it. Suck it, chat. So we got all of those. We got all those things, and then the realm starts getting corrupt, and it's bad. And then the Yozi, they break into. They figure out how to break into that cage. And some of there's 2 factions of Sidereal Exalted. See, there's the Bronze faction and the Gold faction, and then the Gold faction actually want to help the Solar Exalted, so they help break into the cage, and then they make a deal with Yozi, and the Yozi takes some of the Exalted sparks, and they're like, haha, we're gonna do things with them. And then the ones in the underworld, the Neverborn, so the Neverborn and the Yozis, remember that from the start? So then they're like, hey, can we get in on that? And then the Yozi are like, we got you, fam. And then they give them some of those. So then you get the Infernal Exalted, who are just like these punk rock Exalted that are like twisted and corrupted Solar Exalted. And then there's the Abyssal Exalted from the underworld, who are sad poetry reader people who are also corrupted. They're just sad and all the time.
Smiths.
Yeah, they are every last one. They're the Smiths with Buster Swords. That's what they are. So yeah, and then we get to the game. We get to the game because now solars are starting to come back into creation. You got all these different types of exalted, and you could play any part in creation. You could play in the realm as a dragon blooded. You could play but it's just big, over the top energy. I don't know if you could tell by my general demeanor and stuff, but it's like this big, over the top energy to do all this stuff, and you get to play one of the exalted. You can make one of the exalted. I really like Exalted Essence. It's really cool, simple, and a good way to get into the game. It's not complicated what that book is there. And Exalted is really great, and I like it. And I'd like to run it, in public sometime with people who are into this. What I did. Yeah, it's so Exalted. Here you go. It looks like this is your stop. Ding.
I have a very quick question. Love those Mass Effect elevators. Go ahead. Is anyone allergic to wool? No.
No.
God, I hope not.
Okay.
I own a sheep farm.
I've played Exalted before.
There's wool in this.
Briefly.
Oh, neat.
Yeah. I mean, we played it when it first came out, years and years and years ago. I just remember that one of my friends made a character based on, was it Jubei from Ninja Scroll?
Oh, neat.
And just took every charm that gave him more health.
So they're just invincible.
He couldn't really do anything, but...
He couldn't die either.
Yeah.
Which is a skill.
And which didn't mean he couldn't get hurt.
Do you want to?
But he could just...
Yeah. Excuse me. I
So
need
much
some water.
damage. It was ludicrous.
Yeah, I would assume so.
Do you want to play Exalted with me?
Yeah, that sounds super fun.
Are you just saying that because I'm
No, it sounds super
within
fun. I don't want to study it and be tested on the lore at any point. But other than that, it sounds awesome.
No, you can to be actually real, you can jump into a game of Exalted, and so long as you have I am a demigod kind of mentality.
Yeah, that describes me.
Great.